Hello and welcome to what has become day two of this situation with the Prime Minister's security breach. Extremely significant, very worrisome. All the politics aside, and I think it's important to say that let's set aside the politics because that's a lot of what we're getting to hear right now. Is a lot of this said, he said, she said, they said, we said. Let's set that aside and focus on the actual which is breach of the prime minister of the largest democracy in this country. And not only of the prime minister, but of an individual who is the target of multiple national, international organizations and whose life is at risk at most times, every time he steps out, essentially. And the fact that he could have been caught up in such a situation where he is stranded or blocked in on a flyover and there's such little maneuverability. The chief minister is not available on the phone, and essentially they are sitting ducks. There's no other way to put it. So let's break this down and discuss in a sane manner without the hyperbole what happened yesterday. And I'm joined by two people who have been tracking this very carefully. B.N. Sharma, former IG of the BSF, sorry. He has worked extensively in Punjab. As you know, that this location where the Prime Minister was stranded is very close to the border. And it's about 20 to 25 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Sharma will, of course, give us further details on exactly what this location was, what's the topography. What I have read, and you all must have followed this as well, is that there was a lot of suspicious drone activity in that particular region in the past. And Punjab, Captain Amrinder Singh has gone on record to speak of this, has seen drone activities coming in from across the border, wherein there have been incidents of weapons and all kinds of nefarious sort of activities that have taken place. I'm also joined by Ameet Datta. Again, has a forces background, is a very well-known lawyer and political watcher in New Delhi. He's joining us to discuss this further. And really, I wanted to get non-political perspectives on it and just citizens' perspectives on it, because I think that's really important, that we look at it from that prism and not necessarily from a partisan way, which is what you're going to see on TV. So, sir, Mr. Sharma, let's start with you. You know this area, Firozpur. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, good evening. Like you said, the Firozpur is one of the border district of Punjab. The town itself, it is a historical place and not very far away from the border. The nearest border from Firozpur, as we all know, is Hosseiniwala, where the Prime Minister was to go by helicopter and land there, and where we have this memorial of our Bhagat Singh and other two martyrs. So that is about 27, 25, 26 kilometers from the main city, Firozpur. And the road he was traveling from Bhatinda or further on to Firozpur is almost running. It's not exactly parallel, but all along the general alignment, and it was about, as we know, what not very far from the border. And being a border district, Punjab, Firozpur is very active, and of late we have also seen some drone activities also going on there, and it has been always a
Right.
active border. Like
Hmm.
Amritsar, Firozpur also is a very active border and sensitive. So the place where the Prime Minister got stuck uh, is, and we'll describe further, was very important, and what all dangers it could have thrown to the security of the Prime Minister, having stuck there on a flyover. What was the how it is different from a normal road, if convoy getting
Yes,
stuck on the road and a convoy getting stuck on a flyover. That
flyover,
is the difference,
exactly.
yeah. So that is one thing aspect we will describe, and we'll speak what all things were there which
Well,
endangered the security. And having stuck
hmm,
there for about almost good 20 minutes, what all dangers were there, how the
hmm.
security was compromised, what prevented, what could have happened. These all issues you will see as we describe and discuss further.
Yes, and I just want to ask you, when you say that the Firozpur, this area is very active when it comes from a national security and a border patrolling point of view, what exactly do you mean by active? What kind of activity are you worried about there?
Border activity means that it is prone to smuggling, the smuggling of heroin. The we Of late we have been seeing a lot of activities across the border. Some interception. We had some killing on the border. So that way, the activities are. It's not a quiet border. That means what I would try to say, that the border is quite
Hmm,
active, and the patrolling, especially this part of the year when there's a lot of fog in the morning, a lot of visibility is so poor. So our troops who are there for doing the night domination, they have to carry on the same domination pattern till very late in the morning. Otherwise, they
hmm,
fall back to the BOPs early in the morning, say around 7 o'clock. But with the weather like what is prevailing now these days, a lot of thick fog and visibility becoming very poor, they have to stay back
hmm,
for extended periods. That is what
hmm,
that
hmm,
means
hmm,
it is
hmm.
that way the security challenges are more.
Right. And Amit, coming to you, we were discussing this earlier as well. Prime Minister Deve Gowda has spoken out and spoken of how serious this breach is. He is one of our former living prime ministers. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, we have not heard from, but his time in government or in office is recent enough for us to know that he has never encountered this sort of situation in all the travels that he has done in this 10 years he was in office. Prime Minister Modi, of course, this is unprecedented because, at least, I mean, I was very young, of course, when Indira Gandhi was assassinated, and Rajiv Gandhi, I recall to some extent, not too much. Uh, I mean, has this happened before in living memory that the Prime Minister has had to face such a security breach?
I think you use the correct word, Advaita, unprecedented. In fact, I'd use the word shocking and shameful. I'd go to the extent of saying that I don't believe personally that
Hmm,
the cavalcade, this important cavalcade, was stopped because some people were protesting. I think this was, in my mind, a planned obstruction of a very sensitive personality's passage. And you look at history, you have in that state where, in living memory, a sitting
hmm,
chief minister was assassinated. And assassinated after, when by
right.
general consensus, a movement had kind of stopped, or had been contained years after, and he had
Hmm,
been assassinated. You look at living memory, you
hmm,
have one sitting prime minister who has been assassinated, and one former prime minister who was assassinated. Now, this SPG Blue Book, procedures of security, you look at the American presidents, the Secret Service, these are not things that people have thought up because, a big kafila or a cavalcade seems really nice to you. But and to a political leader, his pomp or whatever, it's because there are real security threats. The prime minister deals with a myriad of issues relating to internal and external security with bad actors, non-state actors, and frankly, our country is beset by multiple such movements who would have a motive to intervene in this place, and uh, uh,
hmm,
each of these incidents is replete with, we did not have intelligence. So therefore, I was shocked on seeing a India Today clip recently, just a couple of minutes ago, where the Punjab chief minister says, ostensibly walks into the crowd and says, "Oh, there's nothing. He could have walked into the crowd also." Then I'm sorry. I mean, this is
hmm,
shocking. and to, while politically people may play this up on either party, as a citizen, to have the prime minister's cavalcade obstructed in this manner on such a vulnerable site like a flyover is mind-boggling. It goes
Hmm,
beyond.
hmm.
I'm not somebody who's given to hyperbole, but I think it goes beyond this
Yeah.
aspect of a state government not acting within the constitutional norms. And this is a fit
Hmm,
ground
hmm,
after investigation. I would say if
hmm.
shortcomings are found, to dismiss this government, to suspend this government. I mean, this is it's unprecedented. How dare the state government even try to come back? Yesterday they were saying that, oh, we didn't know about it, and today they said, oh, it's a protest by some workers, and it's no big deal. It's normal
Hmm.
process to clear the road for somebody who's under multiple threats. Please, is it
Hmm.
anybody's case that the prime minister of this country is not an individual who has threats going beyond what normal people would feel? It's ridiculous.
No, and this sort of cavalier attitude that we have lost two former prime ministers and a sitting prime minister to the assassins, so we have most empathy, or we are most aware of the risks involved. Well, then that's even makes you even look even worse, because there is no reason why in the time age this should happen to a prime minister who is such a high risk and a high value target. And
And you look,
I frankly,
you,
the,
you look
yeah,
at the
go ahead,
example,
Amit. Go ahead, please.
example of VC Shukla in Chhattisgarh, when a large
Hmm,
part of the Congress leadership was wiped out. Now, these incidents happen where you least expect them. That's the whole aspect and the danger of why you have so much of security, because you don't expect to. You will never know when these attacks happen. You can't predict these. These are unpredictable by nature. And I'd go to the extent of saying, in a state like Punjab, I mean, God forbid, in a state which has so much of fertilizer use, and fertilizers like ammonium nitrate, etc., I don't think
hmm,
it's
hmm.
beyond the realm of possibility. You don't need a sophisticated movement of explosives into that state, and it's shocking that this was even
Yeah.
allowed. And what is even more shocking is Congress leader tweets like, "How's the Josh?" My God,
I mean,
I
that
mean,
was appalling.
what has
Appalling.
become?
I mean, one has to really wonder, what the Congress is thinking. I asked on Twitter, I said, where is the hosh? Like, who in their right mind would say something like that and be so cavalier about it? It was
And then
just, I
nothing
don't
to do.
understand.
The insinuation that there is a lack of manhood, that the man could not or he could have waded into the crowd. I'm sorry, those days of when you had the Mahatma Gandhi film when Nehru waded into that crowd, that security risk was demonstrated barely a year and a half later when Mahatma Gandhi himself was
Mm,
assassinated. That's why.
yeah.
That's why you have people of all motivations after people who
Mm,
take decisions important for the country. And if you
mm,
are going to
mm.
pay footloose and fancy free political with this sort of thing, then everybody is game. And then I shudder to think what happens to this country.
Mm. I think also, this hate for Modi personally has just gone out of limits. You can not like him as a politician. You may have issues with his policies, with his rhetoric. All of those things are fine. But he is a democratically elected prime minister of a country. And to wish the worst on him, which is physical harm, is really wishing or willing this country to disintegrate. And you said it earlier when we were chatting. You said that to hit the prime minister in this way, or an attempt to hit him, and God forbid it had been successful in any way, is really like decapitating a nation in many ways.
Yes. Advaita, again, I go back to the fact you don't need sophisticated weapons. Look at January 6th and the storming of the Capitol. These were
Hmm.
unarmed people who took over one of the most heavily guarded, most sensitive premises in the world. And here
Yeah.
we're talking about a damn road. We're talking about a
Hmm.
road.
And a flyover.
And so, if you put that parallel, those 5,000, 3,000, 10,000 people, what would the SPG have done? What could they have
Nothing.
done? Seriously, that 8 concentric rings or SPG blue book is to prevent that one person, two persons trying to intercede in the circle, or God forbid, members of that circle themselves being involved with something. These are all
Hmm.
lessons learned. But surely against a 10,000, 3,000, 7,000, 5,000 mob, that
Yeah.
would be a tsunami. And the fact that that happened, and it's nobody's case of the state government, and as Mr. Sharma will clarify, having 10 times more experience than anybody here,
Hmm.
that this is the state government's job to sanitize uh,
Hmm.
all the routes, and then available routes, alternate routes. Everything is planned out in detail. It surely is not nobody's case that, oh, इकट्ठे हो गए जी, इकट्ठे हो गए तो हम क्या करें? Ridiculous.
And the other thing that they're saying, and the other quite openly, is that these so-called protesters who are claiming to be farmers, but I think there's a lot of mercenary activity behind it. The other thing that they're saying is that the cops told them कि prime minister तो यहाँ से आ रहा है. Now,
My God.
Sharma ji, you've been part of the security establishment. How much of common knowledge is it where the prime minister is going, which route he's taking, when he's going to pass by? How? I mean, I've lived in Delhi and in the heart of Delhi, next to very close to what used to be 7 RCR, but is now 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. I've lived there for many years, and we would never know who was passing by on those cars. Sure, you would get stopped, but you didn't know the identity of that person who was passing by. So, how much of common knowledge should this be?
Yeah, those who are put on the route security, mostly they are the people from the state police. I mean, when the as per the blue book, when the prime minister goes to visit any of the state or any place outside, so the responsibilities are clearly divided. They are all included in the blue book, and a lot of coordination takes place between the advanced licensing. We call that advanced security licensing, where the people from the special protection group SPG, they
Hmm.
do the advanced licensing with the state concerned place, and the programs and the widget and the details are chalked out, and what all are the security requirement, specific security requirement at the spot, the route, the landing and the mode of travel, everything is worked out. I mean, the most important thing is the ASL, that is advanced security licensing. That part is taken care, where the state police is fully uh, into the picture. What all will be taken. Now, those troops who are on the duty, they are also supposed to be very conscious about the nature of duty they are performing. They cannot simply keep telling people who is coming, who is going, what time.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you, when 2 years ago, I just landed at the Dhola metro, and I just came
Hmm.
out and I saw the route arrangement was there, and I knew that it was for the prime minister, because he was to go to Chandigarh for the yoga program. That is about 2 3 years ago. So I
Hmm.
just asked the police, the man who he was from the CRP, I think the special duty group. I asked him, "Me kaun
Hmm.
ja raha hai?" So he did not tell me. He said, "Sab
Yeah.
security mein hai." He did not tell me.
Hmm.
He tell that once I told him, gave my identity that I am so and so. Then
So
he
and
little
so.
bit, yeah. So uh, the important thing is that a security leak lapse from a single person can cost it very heavy. And it's not that the route security is done all of a sudden. These are planned, and the you need a lot of additional troops to be brought in from nearby districts or even from the nearby states. So all these things are done, and it's not that at 20-minute time notice the Prime Minister will start moving by road to cover 120 kilometers or 110 kilometers. No, I think this everything is worked out in before the contingencies are taken into account, and the clearance is given by the people who are responsible. Unless they give the clearance, the Prime Minister's security will not allow him to move. They can straightway say that we need some time to put our security elements in place, and once everything is clarified and things are ensured that the route is clear, that is how the move takes place. And uh, uh,
Now, Mr. Sharma,
environment,
you said something else also earlier. You said that you will go a little bit into detail as to why being stuck on the flyover is of particular significance because of the security
yeah.
lapse.
Yeah, because I tell you that when the motorcade is moving on the given route, and if suppose there is a some you can say something which comes to the people who are controlling the move, say they anticipate some problem, they will not bump into the place like that. They will try to look for an alternative, and if required, they will do the about turn. There are some drills where they can quickly turn around and change the direction of the move. So all these things. Now, having come onto the flyover, either they should have been given the warning that the flyover there is some expected jam or protesters are there, or the route is not clear. They would have done the alternative, whatever was possible, change the route or the different thing could have been done or turn around. But having reached, climbed up to the flyover, there was no chance for them to turn around. So that was the problem, that the convoy is very safe and secure so long it is moving. But once it is static,
Yeah.
2 minutes, 3 minutes, we do not know. I mean, the chances of the dangers are increasing, or they increase, the threat increases if the convoy is static. So long it is moving, the risk is very, very minimal. And as Mr. Datta has said, that this SPG, the close protection team, and those who are around, they could only control a definite number of people, two, three, somebody who trying to assault or somebody who trying to
Yes.
break the cordon. But suppose the entire crowd of 200, 300, 100 kilometers, I mean, people just try to um, uh, break the complete place, and what options the SPG or the protection would have got? I mean, except for opening the fire or killing people or doing, I mean, that situation could also have happened. You do not know who all comprised of those 500, 600 people. Who were
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Who were the protectors?
All it takes
I mean,
is one person.
yeah,
I
One
think
person. And that's what Amit also said to me earlier when we decided to do this conversation. He said that you just needed one dumper truck
yes,
full of this this which is widely available, Amit, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
in
yes.
farming communities and states that
Especially in
have a lot of
Punjab.
farm,
Especially in Punjab, sir,
especially in
where
Punjab.
ammonium nitrate, which is used as the top fertilizer, is used. It needs to be mixed with two other chemicals like Timothy McVeigh did in the Oklahoma bombing and drove it into the federal building.
Yeah.
That was adequate. 6,000 pounds. Brought down that
the
entire
Yeah.
building, killed hundreds of people.
Right.
That's what
the
it
So
point
means.
all
is,
you needed to do was really build it, which you can get online now. Let's be honest, it's not that
the
much of a mystery anymore,
the
and
point
just
is not
drive into that space.
the point is not that what did not happen. You just think what could have happened.
Would have
I
happened.
mean,
Correct.
Could have
that is
happened,
more important.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
So
And
to
this is what is critical.
yes. So we
You
can't
So
said,
well
allow
said.
this thing. I mean, we have to be very, very serious. We can't take it lightly that these things happen. No. I mean, people who come to the rallies or to come to the meetings or the wherever there are public gatherings, they're all sanitized, frisked. Everybody is first checked, and then only he's allowed. The sanitization is done. The area is controlled, cleared. The area is searched for any explosive or something. Then it is kept under watch. I mean, you can't leave the place like that. So it's not that the thing are not done. But if the laxity is there, you can't take the things lightly, that it may happen, it may not happen. Let some people come. I mean, allowing people to come so close and become a threat is very, very difficult. That is not, it is very alarming. It's not that who is the Prime Minister, who is the VIP, it is something. Okay.
No, absolutely, and I think Advaita, the most importantly, the questions to be asked here is, there was a protest site which was barely, I understand, barely less than a kilometer ahead of that bridge. Effectively, was that protest site aimed at stopping that cavalcade on the bridge? If yes, what was the objective? I mean, it's okay to be conspiracy theory oriented and all, but it's precisely these questions that are asked when the safety of heads of state are in doubt. And
Yeah.
if you look at the circumstances behind the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, you look at the circumstances behind the assassination of our sitting Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, if you look at the circumstances of the assassination behind the sitting Mr. Behan Singh, who was a sitting Chief Minister of Punjab, the car bomb in a government building. I mean, you can imagine that the unpredictability of VIP security requires you to think on different levels. And if so, was this the first thing? Was there an intention? Second, was that, and even more insidious, is this a political message to strong arm, to kind of
Yeah.
intimidate a political leader who also happens to be the Prime Minister, that you are going to be intimidated in this fashion, where you get out onto the roads for electioneering and all, etc. It doesn't matter. I mean, I may not support somebody.
Yeah.
Question, if my the security of the Prime Minister, the President, the Chief Minister of a state, etc., is open to question and open to conjecture, open to Bhagwan Bharose, for the state government
Yeah.
to participate and support, then I'll tell you, we are going to slip into an abyss. I don't think there's any
Abyss.
coming.
Yeah.
You look at what
No,
happened to
there's.
the US after the 6th of January. Everything was up for grabs.
Yeah.
Everything in that country was up for grabs on that day. Frankly, you see, suborning of elections, or from the assassination of political leaders, multiple political leaders, to kidnapping them, etc. All those indications, anything was up for grabs. And I don't think that if anybody were to tell me that this was not up for grabs on that on the day the Prime Minister's cavalcade was stopped, I'm sorry, that was also up for grabs. Who allowed them when you knew the route? And if you allowed them, you could not control them. Why was advance warning not given?
Exactly. Why couldn't the Prime Minister have turned around from another point and not have to wait on a flyover before he turns around if it was out of hand?
Why weren't additional forces, or if additional forces were rushed, why, if they were not, why weren't they rushed into that area to cordon, to sanitize, to clear that area? Why weren't they running? I mean,
no, and the thing is that sensible people in the Congress also, like someone like a Manish Tiwari, who's been a former union minister, is the MP from Punjab, has lost his own father in a terrorist violent act. He acknowledges the issue at hand and has the common sense and to note that this is a very serious matter. And then on the other hand, you have the Congress people like that youth leader who said, how's the Josh Modi ji, and Sidhu who's saying this is all drama, and Chani who's saying, look at me, I can go out into the people, why couldn't the Prime Minister? I mean, it's just schizophrenic, their reaction on such an important issue. They should not be up for debate.
The more I think about this, the more this is deserving, and I'm shocked. Please understand. Okay, let us assume that this was a faux pas by state police, they did not control it, but it impacted the security of the Prime Minister. Heads must roll. Who's been suspended?
Absolutely. No
Who
one.
has been suspended? Who has been called to task? Nobody.
Hmm.
Nobody.
Hmm.
DGP down. Nobody.
Hmm.
Who has been identified as a person responsible? Have they been questioned? The normal thing in this would be intensive questioning of that person in charge. What went wrong?
These guys do more intensive questioning of people over tweets. I know a Twitter user right now who is sitting in the police in
Yeah.
Mumbai, where there is a Congress government, where he is explaining some tweets that he's made. So there is more intensive questioning over tweets than there is over this. Sharma ji, what do you think is the kind of inquiry that needs to take place? And do you think by this time, although, okay, fine, admittedly, it may be too early to apportion blame, but don't you think that some people should have at least been benched or suspended till the inquiry was complete?
What I feel that right from the time this news came out about the prime minister's communicate getting stuck. I mean, the state government has been trying to defend that there is nothing wrong. So we can very well imagine that what would inquiry held by a state will lead into. I do not think that the
Hmm.
state government, knowing their mind and how they are trying to say justify that this is nothing. So there could be something, but the inquiry will be taking place, and uh, the details will come out where all who 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 slept over, who did not do what
Hmm.
he was supposed to do at that very crucial moment. Once they knew that the road
Hmm.
is blocked, why did the information not come to the leading column to divert the route or
Correct.
take I mean, uh, I can say that okay, all of a sudden if the people came, it was the responsibility of the police responsible to clear the route. But if they were not in a position to clear that in time before the arrival of the convoy, they should have passed
Hmm.
on the information and not allow the PM's communicate to climb up to that flyover. That was
Yes.
something which
Yes.
should have been avoided, and they would have,
Avoided.
yeah, I mean, that is what the security apparatus is meant for. They are
And even
supposed to be
the
in
BJP,
communication.
I must say, even the BJP should not be looking at this as some sort of political opportunity to
Yeah,
milk.
no,
It's
this should
very
be above.
important.
This should be
Yeah,
our politics. This is
absolutely.
security, and security is of national importance, and it is not. It is much beyond politics and something. I mean, I do not like the
Right.
way people are making
Subscribe
statements
to
here
this.
and there.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
It is something which it must give a big lesson not only to this state, other states also. Because it's not the last time the prime minister is going to visit Punjab. He will be making many more visits to different places and different states. So it is time for all the security agencies to see what went wrong and what go wrong. So this should be taken as a lesson, and all those who are responsible. I cannot pinpoint that A, B, C who is responsible, but people are responsible who have not stuck to the book, stuck to the rule, stuck to the need that what all is necessary to be done, and how to avoid this type of situation where the
Mm,
convoy climbs up the flyway and then they find the road is blocked. It is not done. I mean, it's something very security wise. I think all the people from who are from the security background will be very worried, and I mean, thank God nothing happened. That I can say that it
mm,
I mean passed off, and I think if somebody, suppose you're coming to my house and your vehicle get punctured or you have some problem, uh, so I will be worried to ask you, why have you not reached? So
yes.
no.
Mm.
So
Right.
No, no.
similarly, yeah,
There is just it's
yeah,
actually crazy. It's actually crazy that this actually
mm,
happened. There's been a suggestion that there should be a high court judge who sits in on this panel. What is the legal process behind this, and what are the legal remedies that are available to the government? And really, to because one gets tired of this. This will be on the news cycle for a day, for 2 days. There'll be outrage. Then political parties will start milking it for their own purpose. But I think there has to be like some sort of accountability that's fixed.
I think, Advaita, there are two aspects to this. The one aspect is uh, there has to be an immediate summary fixing of accountability. There are people in charge. There is a
Yeah.
position in a post, a person is in charge of a certain route, of a certain arrangement by virtue of the position they hold, IG,
Hmm.
DIG, SSP, etc. Those people, those heads have to rule. They have to rule from a summary perspective. There's a
Hmm.
larger theoretical lessons learned sort of inquiry, right? That can take its time. The high court inquiry, and because you know how we love meandering our ways through these inquiries that will go on and
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
The third aspect is, because of the construct of how this thing happened, I I
Hmm.
I mean, I'm loath to kind of look at things like Article 356, etc. But even by virtue of how the Supreme Court restricted the use of that provision to suspend governments, if you are not acting within constitutional norms,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So the report to the MHA, and I genuinely hope that the MHA plays hardcore hardball on this, and it does
Hmm.
not let it lie and let it
Yeah.
become a
Yeah.
political football. I'm sorry to say that there's maybe room for people to play political football. That's not my brief. I mean, theek hai, they want to do
Yeah.
that. They can,
Yeah.
do your Mrityunjay parts and all that. That's okay. But
I mean, that's what I tweeted today also. I mean, this sort of performative activism.
what
I mean, you're
shocks
talking
me,
about the prime minister of this country. You can do, the candlelight marches and all, do it on your own time. But this is very significant and it's extremely serious and it has to
what
be
shocks
handled in
me,
that way. There
what
should be
shocks
no
me not.
opportunity given for any kind of trivialization, which is, I'm afraid, to a certain extent happening. And that is
What shocks
absolutely unforgivable.
What shocks me more is the sort of comments on dramebaz and all that,
Yeah.
equally. And
Hmm.
you know, apart from a comment that maybe the prime minister is supposed to have made, I don't know if it's true or not. That thank you for your chief minister for letting me get back alive. Uh,
Yeah.
there's been no statement from him. There's been no sort of teary-eyed video message or anything of that sort. And to come out with these things show how abysmally flawed level the discourse has become in this country, where
Hmm.
you can't separate your political like and dislikes from the safety of the chosen head of state, who could have been
Exactly. And that is
targeted by
frightening.
all sorts of people. And
Hmm.
I'm sorry, this is reached a point where apart from, if I were to think out of the box, where prime minister security is concerned or central leader security is concerned, for that visit there has to be a subordinating of the state police agency, or of that area, of that place, to that central
Hmm.
officer deputed, who goes as a part of an advanced team and has higher
Hmm.
of higher power
Yeah,
to
yeah,
make
yeah.
people fall in
And
line. Otherwise, if you are going to the liaison and all, if this is not going to work and it's going to work like this, where the chief minister is of the state is now dug in, rather than, I would have thought he would have said, "No, I'm shocked.
no, he
It
was
happened,
unavailable. He was unavailable when all of this was going down.
and
And
today
I
he is
believe
taking
he
the
oh
reporters around.
yeah,
He's
he's sitting
taking
in a
the
car.
reporters around. क्या है, कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, अरे मेरे साथ भी हो जाता है, अरे देखो मैं जाके मिल के आ गया उनसे, 2 में मिल के आ गया, अरे भाई साहब, आप यानी कि आप चीफ मिनिस्टर हैं स्टेट के, ड्रामेबाज कौन हो रहा है? आई मीन वो तो
Exactly.
देखिए,
4 महीने पहले बने as chief minister. He's not even like a long-term chief minister.
you
Yes,
that's
Sharma ji.
this is very surprising, shocking, and we are going to get to the bottom of this. I'm surprised. Well, I feel that, well, he could have got out and met the people, but there has been a breach, and if there's been a breach, we will take strict action. That, even that statement is not
Hmm.
forthcoming.
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, the MLA from Firozpur, who's a congressman, is far more sensible because he has asked the question, the obvious question, that what about the DGP? He's at least asking the questions. He's acknowledging there has been a terrible breach, and he's asking the question. So I don't know. Even the Congress is crazy. I mean, why are they having such a disparate narrative that's coming from them. So you have Sunil Jakar, Manish Tiwari, the MLA from Firozpur,
Yeah.
speaking in like sensible people, who
Yes.
are who are aware of the ground realities and the security situation that exists. Now, coming to the why the prime minister has not said anything. The prime minister had a meeting, was called in for a meeting by the president, and it went on for over an hour, which in itself is unprecedented. I think the prime minister is hugely, we all know he's hugely popular, and tempers are really high. People are really upset about this. So for him to personally say
Yeah.
anything at this point of time
Would
is
be to
going to be
inflame.
something
Yeah.
that can inflame passions. So I appreciate the fact that he has not come forward and made any statement or comment to the point where he has that level of popularity where people can go crazy. So I think that's a good thing, frankly. Sharma ji, you wanted to say something, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. Like when this thing happened, when he turned back, he must have taken about more than an hour to reach back Bhatinda to fly back. I think that was the time when CM would have come to know that this has happened en route to Firozpur, and the Prime Minister had to turn. I think the decency demanded that he should have immediately called up, get in touch with the Prime Minister, spoken to him, and inquired, "Sir, I'm sorry," or whatever there. The thing could have
Hmm.
taken a different. I think he's not coming up and not being in communication with anybody. Not pick. I mean, we hear that he was not available on phone. Had he spoken, given a call to Prime Minister and just mentioned about this, that we are sorry for this happened, whatever there, we'll find out. And I think that would
Hmm.
have made it a little different. Prime Minister also would have. Uh, I think taken it in a different way. Maybe there was nothing, nobody
I
could
don't,
communication.
Sharvaji, I don't think it is even about that. It's not even about the niceties or the hierarchy. It's about the fact that you have such a dangerous situation playing out for
Yeah,
15, 20 minutes,
yes.
you know, and you're unavailable. You're missing an action. No one can get in touch with you.
He would
Then
have
you
taken the
say that
control.
I
I
was
mean,
isolating. I was
he
isolating because of COVID. Okay, fine. That doesn't mean you can't get on the phone. And after saying that today, like Amit said, and we've all seen that interview on India Today, he is driving around without a mask, sitting right next to a reporter and giving interviews and walking. Now I see him walking around with a mask.
He's responsible for what is happening in the state. I mean, that is what I am
Yes.
trying to say. That he is responsible. He should have taken control. He should have taken stock and got in touch with the prime minister, with the home minister. Should have shown his concern that yes, this is something which we do not approve of. I mean, rather than saying that they were innocent or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to that part, but
Hmm.
that is one aspect which I thought the thing would have taken a different turn. And
Hmm.
security lapse, of course, is there, and the state government, all people have to work together. And it is not that today one government is there, the second government is there. The things will keep changing. These are the needs of the nation, and security needs are for everybody. The leaders, the dignitaries have to go, and the responsibility has to be taken in totality. That's what I.
Into account.
Yeah.
Amit made an interesting point, and I just want to discuss this before we sign off. Is an agency that kind of overrules this police bandobast and all of that, especially when it comes to the security of the prime minister. There have been occasions, for example, in West Bengal, Amit Shah was not able to do a rally. Then there was a previous occasion where the president also faced some issues. This is happening in opposition ruled states. When it comes to BJP, people associated with the BJP, even if it's a constitutional authority like the president, facing security challenges. It's heartbreaking to say this, but this has happened and it is happening. And most recently, it happened with the prime minister. Uh, this idea of having an agency that kind of can override this and not be hostage to these kind of situations, how realistic is it, or are we just going to be complicating things even more? Because one doesn't know the way forward in this kind of crazy and toxic political environment.
No, the Secret Service in the US has overriding authority where the president's security is concerned. It doesn't
Hmm.
liaise with local people. local law enforcement agencies then report to the
Hmm.
Secret Service for the duration of that trip for that purpose. They have that power. And you need to ingrain that power here in India as well. This
Hmm.
licensing bit, if given this incident is open to political chicanery or political manipulation, then there's even a more pressing need. uh, and frankly, it doesn't matter if it's there in the world or not. It's a question of apportioning and fixing responsibility and having the power to
Hmm.
ensure that agencies carry out their tasks, and then having a
Hmm.
power of the danda over people who don't
Hmm.
carry out.
Hmm.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
if you're not going to be able to do that, then you are going to have judges committees who will then have
Yeah.
nice
And
300 pages
this is what I find
document.
obnoxious. Amit, this is what I find obnoxious. It is assumed that committee बैठ जाएगी, judge होगा, and usually months later, some report will turn up that these were the observations and this and that, and maybe it'll spark some political chatter on social media or TV, and it's over. So getting a committee together is really not the solution. As you all know, I've worked in hotels, and I've seen multiple heads of states, prime ministers check into these hotels, and trust me, like I remember even the Israeli people, Mozart was in our hotel literally 20 days before the delegation even arrived.
Yeah.
You know, they cleaned out a floor completely, and they were there 20 days in advance.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, when he was traveling, they ripped up roads and laid cables for his secure committee when he was president. I mean, yes,
Yes.
I think it was
Yes.
after. This is the level of security that is detailing that is followed. And I find it shocking that we're not able to do that for someone like our prime minister, who is as much as at risk as anyone else in the world, and more than a lot of people in other democracies.
Advaita, the important thing is people should not forget that this sort of gamesmanship can be done by any and everybody. There are leaders across the board who enjoy security from the central government as well, who are in opposition.
Hmm.
Tomorrow, if
Yeah.
the central government is going to start thinking like a state government in opposition does, my God, you
Hmm.
are going to have a situation where you are going to actually have, if not anarchy, you are going to have a situation where leaders are never going to be safe, where security to them is never going to be taken seriously. And that is
Hmm.
just not
Hmm.
possible. Look at the bipartisan nature of how VIP security is treated in America. Donald Trump
Yes.
went probably the most hated man in large parts of America and loved in the rest of the parts of America, but he went for his full complement of security. So did Obama.
Hmm.
And they enjoy that security till the day they die. Because
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
reason. There's a reason because their acts have caused
Yes.
any
Yes.
misery, rightfully or wrongfully, in the
Yeah.
pursuance of the nation's policy, hurt and
Hmm.
pain to people who are
Yeah.
motivated then to respond, right? Wrongfully or
Hmm.
rightly. And if that is the
Hmm.
case, those people never go away. They have long memories. And
True.
if that leader is open to that sort of risk level, as our opposition leaders today and their sons and daughters, may I add, some of
Hmm.
whom do, in my view as a citizen, don't bloody well deserve it, but they have it,
Hmm.
right? And it continues
Yeah.
in
It's
every
a
some form or shape, or for some form or shape, with four gadis in the beginning and four gadis at the end.
prestige thing, no?
Yeah, if
In
it
Delhi, it's
continues,
feathers, right? It's your plumage. In Delhi, it's your plumage. If you have these security guards and these drivers and this detailing, then it's your plumage. You fan your feathers around. But for the prime minister, I'm sorry, it's not a prestige thing. It's a life and death thing.
yes.
Sharma ji, over here, one of our Mohan Kumar has pointed out that the SPG is fully empowered. Can you tell us a little bit about the interaction of the SPG with the police when there are these visits?
Oh, SPG will work out the complete detail of the VVIP movement, see for the security arrangement in place wherever the VIP is going, I mean, the protectee is going to be visiting, and all the, the security needs are to be taken. They are all given in one in black and white in the blue book. They are simply to be followed, and they verify and coordinate with the state police. It's not something new that the state police has to be given the details once again, that you have to do this. I mean, everything has been given, and the security of the prime minister is of course the responsibility of the SPG, and then they have to work out with the concerned uh, state police
Hmm.
department, and that is a set process where the responsibility lies, and they ensure that the who will be available, who will be attending, who all are going to be attending the function or a company, or I mean, those things I cannot spell out because there are so many things to be
Yes, I
uh,
know, I know,
yeah.
I know.
So the
Yeah,
SPG
you
being
can't go into
the
too many
yeah,
details about the entire process. Yeah.
SPG being the responsible agency for the protection of the protectee, they have to make sure that the things are in place
Hmm.
and the responsibilities are given to this district, and then they
Hmm.
bring out every arrangement in black and white. The state concerned
Hmm.
police will make a complete detail, who
Hmm.
will be responsible for which stretch of the road, which point, all the details are given by name. So it's not that something which, I mean, if you don't want to do or something is overlooked, that will only be known once they do the investigation. But uh, the responsibility is collective. I mean, the entire responsibility lies with the SPG, but the state government is also responsible. They have a specific role to play, and important role to play. They are
Hmm.
given a specific role. You can't say that we have no role. No, that is not the correct thing to say.
Hmm. Hmm.
Every agency, the intelligence, the security, the state police, you know, they have a specific thing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, after all,
SPG,
the tertiary, secondary
yeah, there
stream
are so many rings.
was precisely for
Second
this
ring,
reason.
second ring,
It
third ring. I
serves
mean,
for
there are so
neither.
many things.
Hmm.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
it was.
I think that some of the channels are discussing this, what, how the SPG is doing the protection. I think these things not to be discussed on
Yes.
open, because
Yeah. Yeah.
they are
Yeah, yeah,
something where,
yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Why should we say that? What is the capacity of thing? How many people are guarding? Who is guarding on which angle? So these are all things which
Yeah.
we need not
Not required.
explain. Yeah.
Not required. And I think further on also, there are now uh, things coming up wherein there are indications to Khalistani actors having some involvement, and those are things that are being revealed as we speak. And that's not something we want to discuss today. But should there be more information available in the public domain going forward, I think that's an area that we need to talk about as well. But thank you, both of you, for joining me on this discussion. I really wanted to discuss this. I did a live yesterday, and today I've been watching the news channels. And of course, yesterday, I think the entire country is frankly to see what exactly went down and how people are reacting to it. And trust me, I want to say this to opposition leaders. If you can't say the right thing at this point of time, don't say anything at all. You're better off quiet, okay? Because people are upset, and you may not like Modi. You may have dedicated your life to opposing him, and full respect for that. That happens in a democracy. But please understand the sentiment of the common person. Any kind of attempt on a sitting prime minister's life fills the average human being with a lot of insecurity about their own security. Forget anything else, okay? About their own security. Secondly, this is an extremely popular prime minister. Now, you may not like him, again, I repeat, but that doesn't mean your neighbor and his neighbor and the rest of the country does not. Trust me, if anything were to happen to him, there would be absolute mayhem and chaos. And no right thinking Indian would want to wish that upon our nation. So please discourage your political leaders, if you have them, or if you have the space, from making frivolous comments at this point of time. There will be enough time for posturing and commenting and all of that, but this is not the right time, because this is indeed very, very serious. And we are fortunate that nothing happened yesterday. And that's it, really. What more can you say about it? But wishing the Prime Minister, of course, good health as he continues to serve the nation and complete his term in office. And we will talk to you again. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Advaita, very much. Thanks, Mr.
Thank
Datta.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.